Good evening and welcome to another hour and a half of news with focus on Nigeria and Nigerians. It is a package with updates on developing stories and new perspectives on unfolding events. Tonight, our lenses are trained on ARP airports as the nation awaits evacuees from Sudan. President-elect Tinubu in Rivers State says bridges of collaboration will make the nation fly over development challenges. Race for Speaker's gavel in the 10th Assembly. More gladiators enter the ring as Senate calls for more intense surveillance nationwide from security agencies. On health, how healthy is the public health sector? And how close is the much vaunted malaria vaccine? We have these and other reports on a loaded desk tonight, but don't take my word for it. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Omar, and this is News Extra. Governance is a continuum. It is a good thing that this continuum at the federal level is of like minds. So as President Muhammadu Buhari formally unveils and launches the next long-term development plan for Nigeria, the Nigeria Agenda 2050 for implementation, it is believed the plan is landing in safe hands. The launch of the document took place on the sideline of the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This note, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to formally unveil and launch the next long-term development plan for Nigeria, the Nigeria Agenda 2050 for implementation. And God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the unveiling and public presentation of the Nigeria Agenda 2050 marks yet another milestone in the annals of history of the nation's planning experience post-independence.
It has also shown our administration's commitment to planning and plan implementation since we assumed office on May 29, 2015. The plan we are launching today has the vision of a dynamic, industrialized, and knowledge-based economy that generates inclusive and sustainable development for the country.
The President, on December 22, 2021, launched the first National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 that would be used to implement the long-term plan. Council on March 15, 2023, approved the Nigeria Agenda 2050 that is being launched now by the President.
The broad target is to ensure that Nigeria attains a per capita GDP of 33,328 United States dollars per annum that will place her among the top middle-income economies in the world by 2050.
The President applauds the steering committee led by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, for delivering on the important national assignment. He is confident that given the measures already in place for continuous implementation, successive administrations will find the document useful in the delivery of electoral promises. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari will depart for London, United Kingdom, later today to join other world leaders invited to attend the coronation of Charles III and his wife Camilla as His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, respectively. Special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says ahead of the coronation, the Commonwealth Secretariat will take advantage of the gathering of leaders in London to host a Commonwealth Summit for presidents and heads of government of Commonwealth countries. President Buhari is billed to participate in the summit, which will deliberate on the future of the Commonwealth and the role of the youth. The president will be accompanied by some government officials. Well, for families, members of Nigerians based in Sudan, which is currently experiencing turmoil, the wait may be over tonight as a batch of evacuees are flying into the country via Egypt. We now join Musa Babaliu at Abuja Airport for an update. So, Musa, tell us what is happening there.
Okay, we are here at the Pilgrims Terminal of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, where we await the arrival of first batch of Nigerians returning from Sudan. Reports reaching us from Aswan International Airport, Egypt, shows that NAF 130H aircraft departed the international airport this evening around some minutes after 4 Nigerian time, and is expected to arrive here in Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport some minutes to 12 midnight. And we are also told that another flight of Air Peace also departed the international airport in Egypt and is also expected to arrive here tomorrow morning. And unspecified numbers of Nigerians were on board. And, you know, Egypt border with Sudan has been a major bottleneck for Nigerian effort to evacuate its citizens from troubled country, that's Sudan. 449 Nigerians were blocked from entering Egypt as they left Sudan. But with the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari and Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt, the door was opened for Nigerians. And that was the reason why the Aswan International Airport was used to evacuate Nigerians, and they are expected to arrive here any moment before midnight. And here at the terminal, arrangement has been put in place by airport officials, National Emergency Management Agency, Immigration, Foreign Affairs, and Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management to receive these Nigerians.
Okay.
But at some minutes after 9, we are yet to see most of the officials here that we receive Nigerians, though adequate arrangement has been put in place by immigration and officials of the airport. And also, we are also not seeing any parents around. Maybe they may be outside because of the rain this night.
Yes, it has been raining.
Another development story reaching us is that 1,500 Nigerians that left Khartoum, that's the capital of Sudan, on Sunday evening have arrived Port of Sudan. You know, Nigeria is using Port of Sudan as an alternative route to evacuate her citizens out of Sudan due to the challenges at the Egyptian border.
Okay.
So now the 1,500 Nigerians that are at the borders, Port of Sudan, they're expected to use ship to move to Egypt, to Saudi Arabia, and from Saudi Arabia, the government will use another means to move them back to Nigeria. And there's also reports indicating that Nigerians that use Ethiopian border are already in Addis Ababa. Okay. And government is also using another measure, another plan, another way to evacuate them back home.
Okay.
So as at this moment, we are waiting for the arrival of Nigerians, the first batch.
We'll keep waiting.
From Aswan International Airport to arrive Abuja some minutes to 12 this night.
Well, thank you so much, Musa Babaliu, for that update. Even though you've said, well, arrangements have been put in place, but the government officials are not on ground for us to speak with them. Well, thank you so much for the update. We'll sure be with you, and we'll also wait for more reports coming from you at the airport, and we wish them safe landing. Thank you so much. Well, the situation in Sudan is not palatable, especially for Nigerians and other nationals who are still trapped there. Understandably, the United Nations, the African Union and the Intergovernmental Authority on Development have met to discuss peaceful solutions to the conflict. They are repeating calls for an immediate ceasefire, opening of a humanitarian corridor and aid to people in need. Adebola Brooksville Sunday reports.
Continuing situation in Sudan is engaging the attention of leaders around the world, especially those of the United Nations and the African Union, who are keen on finding a resolution as soon as possible. The African Union Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat at the Union's headquarters in Addis Ababa said the Union is persuading the warring factions in Sudan on the need for a total ceasefire.
We also naturally discuss political issues, particularly on the crisis. The trilateral organizations have continued to work with the parties for advancing the ceasefire and opening the humanitarian corridors.
UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed said the United Nations is fully behind the African Union's proposal.
It is incredibly important that we are behind an African solution to this catastrophe in Sudan. We need a cessation of the hostilities. We also need to address the humanitarian needs that are needed in Khartoum, in the rest of Sudan, and get back onto that track of a process that is back to a democratic process for civilian rule.
The warring parties in Sudan on Tuesday agreed on a 7-day ceasefire that will start this Thursday to pave the way for peace talks between the two factions promoted and mediated by the neighboring South Sudanese President Salva Kiir, who is also the leader of a team of the Intergovernmental Authorities on Development Assembly of the Heads of States. Sudan's Ministry of Health said the clashes between the SAF and the RSF have killed more than 500 people and left over 4,000 others wounded so far. Adebola Brooksville Sunday, NTA News.
Now, they say sometimes it doesn't just rain, it pours. For Nigeria and Hajj 2023, it is pouring now. Apart from the initial hitch of evacuating Nigerians from Sudan, another challenge the Sudan conflict will have on Nigeria is the closure of the Sudanese airspace, a route the country uses in airlifting pilgrims to and through Saudi Arabia. With 3 weeks to airlift of Nigerian pilgrims to this year's Hajj, Abdullahi Musa Suleja examines the possibility of rerouting the airlift, which may in turn put additional cost on the pilgrims.
It is said that conflict at whatever level has multiplier effect, not only on the warring factions, but on other national, but on environment, creatures and different societies. 4 weeks now, the continued crisis in Sudan is negatively affecting not only its citizens, but also nationals of other countries resident in Sudan, making life unbearable and movement in and around the country a recurrent task. Another dimension is the reported closure of its airspace, a development that directly affects any foreign airline passing through Sudan. Flight flying Nigerian pilgrims must enroute Sudan airspace. With this, flight may have to reroute, which can attract more hours and cost. Who then bears the brunt?
Of course, giving us a lot of concern. We would really appreciate if government could come to our aid in this regard.
We beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring that to an end within the shortest possible time. But whatever happens in the end, the National Health Commission of Nigeria is to decide what happens. They are the regulatory body.
Calculation is based on the old route, that is the route through Sudan to Saudi Arabia. Now there has to be a change. So it's going to affect the movement of the Nigerian pilgrims, obviously.
If the war passes, it means I will be using not less than 7 hours. If we get to that, we'll find a solution and inshallah we'll be out of it. It's one of those external factors that are beyond our control, but our people will not want to hear anything. Once you are paying for Hajj, as far as they are concerned, they want Hajj. They don't care whether you have to take 10 hours route or whatever.
Can the pilgrims incur more cost after paying 2.5 million naira Hajj fare within a short period of time?
Well, we will not be in a quick to ask pilgrims to pay. We are going to exploit other means first, means like we will have to sit the air operators and then do discussion, because it will no longer be a thing of profit making, as it were, but it's now going to be more of humanity. We are going to memo the government who wants us, and then we'll make other suggestions to them, which we cannot preempt here now. Putting the burden on the pilgrims may be, or a part of the burden on them may be the very last resort.
And we're praying that may God let them see the wisdom of sitting down to resolve this issue.
We pray that the crisis will come to an end so soon.
It is the prayer of all that peace returns to Sudan soon, to end the avoidable distractions and retrogression that do more harm than good. Abdullahi Musa Sleja, NTA News.
We sure pray the crisis be over soon. Now, the Federal Executive Council has approved the National Blockchain Policy for Nigeria, which will further qualify Nigeria to be among the frontline countries in the digital economy. The Ministry of Aviation is to continue advancing the sector as more funds were approved for its projects. Among them is the approval to purchase 5 units of firefighting vehicles for the nation's airports. State House correspondent Gideon Friday reports on these and other approvals by the Federal Executive Council at its Wednesday's meeting.
Well, the Federal Ministry of Aviation is in the news again. At this time, Minister Hadi Sirika has restates the commitment of the federal government towards having a safe airspace, a safe airport, as well as having a new national carrier. The Aviation Ministry, amongst others, got more than 7 billion naira for the purchase of 5 units of firefighting vehicles.
Approval for out of contract for the supply and installation of 4 sets of automatic high-capacity screening machines at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport and the General Aviation Terminal in Lagos. And the total contract sum is 993,702,480 naira even.
The Federal Executive Council also approved the National Blockchain Policy for Nigeria. Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Ali Pantami, speaks on this.
We have joined them and we are being proactive to ensure that with the policy we will increase our talent development, also discover our young innovators, give them all the necessary support they need as provided by Nigeria Startup Act 2022, and also ensure the adoption of the technology, particularly as we know blockchain technology ensures about information integrity or data integrity.
The Ministry of Transportation is in public-private arrangements, and one of those concerns the prevention and cleaning up of the marine environment. And this is in line with the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, which was established to, among others, prevent the pollution of the marine environment.
The establishment and the renewal of MAPOL port reception facilities for the disposal of ship-generated waste and cargo residues at the Lekki Deep Sea Port that has commenced operations, the Dangote Refinery and the Dangote Jetty, as well as the 5 pilotage districts of Lagos, Port Harcourt, One, Calabar, and Warri.
The Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation brought before the Council the National Technology Action Plan for Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation in Nigeria's most vulnerable sectors. Minister Olorunimbe Mamora says the nation, like all other countries, is concerned, and an important step to this is to leverage on technology.
So one of the very first things that we had to do in our own situation was to set up a committee that will look into our technology needs to meet up with those processes to achieve mitigation and adaptation. And that's exactly what we did. So we now have a plan of action in place, which we presented to the Council.
For the reimbursement of funds expended by the Borno State government for federal road projects in a total sum of 16,772,486,019 kobo, which will be processed after a debt sustainability analysis has been carried out by the debt DMO, leading to the issuance of debt instrument and promissory note of the same value to be approved by the National Assembly.
President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
I heard someone call him Mr. Projects. President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu describes present infrastructural development in Rivers State as remarkable. I guess that is the summary of Nyesom Wike's 8-year stewardship of the oil-rich state, Rivers. Less than 30 days to take a bow, and yet again another project completed. The icing on this one is that it is the president-elect himself that came to testify and then inaugurate the 12th flyover bridge constructed in Port Harcourt. Ogedinwekwe completes the story.
The Rumokuta-Rumola flyover bridge is the 12th and the last in the series of the flyover projects embarked upon by the Rivers State government at the onset of the second tenure of Governor Nyesom Wike in 2019. The president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu says the visit is to fulfill his promise to visit Rivers State after elections to inaugurate projects at the instance of the governor Nyesom Wike. He knows that happiness is radiating in the state, which is a clear demonstration of the acknowledgement of the good works of the governor. He further thanks the governor for his support in the just concluded election and commends him for championing the cause of justice, equity and fairness.
Aside the construction of this flyover and my invitation to this project, to commission this project today, is another way of building bridges which cannot be overstated.
Governor Wike says cases of abandoned projects in the country are linked to issues arising from the procurement law. He knows that Rivers State had to amend its procurement law to give the government the latitude to pay up to 70% of the contract sum, adding that it is the reason for the prompt completion of projects without variations. He appreciates the president-elect for honoring the state in coming to inaugurate projects.
For a partnership with a good federal government. Yes, partnership. We don't have the money to do it now because of so much in our hands. State. We don't want the people to suffer. We don't want people to get angry with government. Can you help us and see how you can put this road in use? Yes, we can do that. Go ahead and do it. We will refund you. That is the way it's supposed to be.
The 12th flyover bridge is 1,007 meters long and has a width of 250 meters with a median of 780 millimeters. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinwekwe, NTA News.
On to legislative matters now. Senate has called on security agencies to review and strengthen their surveillance across the country. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that Senate at Wednesday's plenary also approved the restructuring of Ways and Means of 22.7 trillion naira as requested by the president.
Senator Istefan Gang drew the attention of the Senate to what he described as resurgence of bandits' attack in Barkin Ladi, Jos South, Riom and Mangu local government areas of Plateau State, which has caused the death of some persons in the last 2 weeks.
I would be using this opportunity to ask for the reinforcement of security and their presence in the affected communities in Plateau State.
Security situation in some parts of the country have started to deteriorate, but I think our security agencies, the military, have done a very good job of improving the security situation across the country.
Senate has passed the 2023 FCT budget of 579.6 billion naira. The repeal and reenactment bill of the Explosives Act and the Nigerian Data Protection Bill were also passed. The bill that seeks to provide for strict implementation of the National Assembly recommendations on the annual federal audit report, sponsored by Senator Matthew Rogide, passed second reading.
With emphasis on completion of ongoing projects in the Federal Capital Territory. And I believe that internally generated funds should be one of the major ways that the FCT can address that challenge.
Ahead of the pronouncement of sentence by the British court in the case of Ike Ekweremadu, Senate has called on the British government to temper justice with mercy.
That since this matter was novel in the United Kingdom, that a novel approach in sentencing of the convicts be adopted by tempering justice with mercy.
We are not quarreling, but we are seeking clemency in the sentencing because this is the first time that our colleague, a patriot, a great man, a great leader, a very peaceful man is getting involved in this kind of thing.
Meanwhile, Senate has commenced investigation into alleged unremitted 6 trillion naira grant rate to the federal government. The Senate Ad hoc Committee on the Recovery of the Funds was at the Ministry of Works and Housing on fact-finding.
They explained to us how much has been collected. So far we had close to 18 billion naira, and efforts have been made to collect the remaining one. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll come back for an update.
This is sequel to the resolution of Senate at plenary of 29th March 2023, which constituted the committee to carry out a comprehensive investigation on the matter. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Niger Delta Development Commission has presented before the Senate Committee on Niger Delta for scrutiny a budget proposal of 876 billion naira for the 2023 fiscal year. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Ogunshola has that.
The consolidated budget proposal has components from 2021, 2022 and the 2023 fiscal year projected to be used for completion of ongoing capital projects. Managing Director of NDDC assures the committee that part of the renewed strategies devised by the Commission is fiscal reform to regulate overhead costs.
Accordingly, only activities that are tied to measurable programs will be approved. We are confident that the benefits of forensic audit report have started bringing about efficient and effective service delivery in the Commission.
From the board. For the committee, the management of NDDC must avoid bickering with its board.
Because we would not want again this time around for the dividends development that is due to our people to be derailed because of infighting between the management and the board.
Mr. Chairman, you can use your initiative to see how you can set up a technical committee to interface directly with the Niger Delta Development Commission management, with your distinguished senators and the secretary, and to see anything we can do.
The budget proposal is the first from the current management, inaugurated in January this year. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Away from that now, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has commended the foresight of the President of the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association for the timely intervention in the education of children of the Armed Forces family towards enhancing their living standard for a better future. The First Lady stated this while inaugurating the newly constructed secondary school founded by the NAFOA President Elizabeth Olubunmi Amao. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The NAFOA Secondary School, established at the Nigerian Air Force Base at Sokoro, Abuja, by the President of the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association, Elizabeth Amao, was conceived out of the desire of improving the quality of education of the military family, particularly the family of the Nigerian Air Force. Inaugurating the school, which consists of 21 classrooms, laboratories, assembly hall, staff rooms and other state-of-the-art facilities to enhance teaching and learning, the First Lady described the project as an important milestone in the journey of the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association.
I am indeed happy that the establishment of this school offers our young ones a conducive learning environment to explore and discover the world. This serene environment also offers teachers the opportunity to teach, impart, and nurture our children to become future leaders and responsible citizens of Nigeria.
While noting the First Lady's initiative of improving the living standards of Nigerian women, youth, and children, Through the Future Assured program, the NAFOA president, her husband, the chief of the air staff, and other key stakeholders reaffirmed their determination to sustaining the spirit towards replicating similar gesture to other parts of the country to enhance educational development.
It is my great delight and honor to present to you this recently built NAFOA Secondary School and the completed NAFOA Little Angel School, a true testimony of our dedication towards comprehensive education in NAFOA.
The event is also significant because of the importance of education to citizens' empowerment, leading to poverty reduction and promotion of economic growth. Additionally, education is the bedrock of any societal development.
The First Lady also inaugurated Little Angel Nursery and Primary Schools upgraded by the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association under the leadership of the current president. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari shares in the joy of the occasion as former Acting Director General of the Nigeria Television Authority (NTA) and Executive Director News Shola Atere turns 66 with a remarkable history of serving 4 Nigerian leaders at the presidential villa. In a statement, President Buhari believes Atere's versatility in broadcasting and reporting starting from 1981 paved the way for so many responsibilities at the highest level of government, and the warmth and trust he earned from the leaders opened more opportunities. Retiring in 2017 as one of the most traveled and experienced journalists with many recognitions and awards for his excellence and diligence. As Atere clocked 66, President Buhari congratulates the veteran broadcaster for mentoring many talents in the country and supervising the birth of several private broadcasting stations, encouraging excellence and high moral standards that have attracted the global spotlight to journalism in Nigeria. The president prays that Atere and his family will always enjoy God's favor of good health, strength, and wisdom. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the termination of the appointment of Dr. Ferdinand Giadom as project coordinator of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, HYPREP. Consequently, President Buhari approves the appointment of Professor Nani Barini Zabe as new project coordinator of HYPREP. Professor Nani Barini is a lecturer at the Department of Fisheries, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Port Harcourt. He is a renowned Ogoni expert in hydrobiology with experience and background in remediation, biomonitoring, and restoration ecology. A statement issued from the Office of the Minister of Environment, Mohammed Abdullahi, indicates that the appointment is with immediate effect. We now take a break. News Extra returns shortly. Thanks so much for being there. Lessons learned from the 2023 general elections will positively shape subsequent elections in Nigeria. This was the view of election observers and political parties at a conference organized by the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, in Abuja, to get reports from stakeholders on the outcome of the polls. Mio Gidi reports.
117, 118.
The counting of the ballot ended April 15, 2023. Winners declared, some losers off to the court, and observers back to the conference hall for post-mortem.
We are aware that there are positive sides of the elections, and we're also aware of the negative sides of the elections.
Some of the best brains in election matters gathered here, courtesy of NIPS, explain the sweet bitter taste of the 2023 polls.
The issue of collation of the results is still left unattended.
For the 2023 election, and this is our view, that technology didn't fail in the 2023 election. What failed is the human factor.
An intriguing views. Conduct of credible polls is the lifeline and oxygen for democracy. But there are factors compelling democracy to a state of being in life support.
Where voters are extremely poor, democracy tends to be weak. If the political culture does not encourage participation, negotiation, bargaining, and freedom of expression, then democracy shrinks.
Lessons from the 2023 polls will form part of recommendations for INEC ahead of the 2027 general elections. Mie Okede, NTA News.
Well, many thanks, Mia, for that. Now, the strict adherence to the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 will bring about a sustainable decongestion of correctional centers across the country. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN, made the assertion in a message to the opening of a 2-day workshop on implementation of ACJA for police prosecutors in the North Central Zone in Abuja. Dele Atumbi was there.
The enactment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 was aimed at ensuring speedy dispensation of criminal justice system in the country. The provisions in the Act have brought about a reformation in the criminal justice system. Despite these provisions, there are noticeable lacunae in the Act which engendered the passage of the Administration of Criminal Justice Bill 2022 with some major innovations. If assented to by the President, the proposed amendment in ACJA 2015 will abolish trial within trial, which delays criminal proceedings. The proposed amendment provides for the establishment of sex offender registry in the FCT, such that upon conviction of a sex offender, the convict's particulars shall be entered into the sex offenders register.
Fundamental principles and essential element of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act remain unchanged.
The Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Justice, Beatrice Jedi Agba, affirmed that ACJA introduced far-reaching innovations that addressed most of the challenges of the system of administration of criminal justice.
Police play crucial roles in enhancing law and order through the performance of a constellation of functions such as prevention of crime, detection, investigation, and apprehension of offenders and enforcement of the law.
The Administration of Criminal Justice Bill, as passed by the Senate, also has provision for the introduction of a plea form which shall be served along with a criminal charge and filed in the court as the plea of the defendant. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
The National Assembly is set to transmit to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent the 5th Constitution Alteration Bill number 20, which seeks uniformity on retirement age and pensions right for judicial officers. The changes are in favor of judicial officers in both federal and state public service. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has that.
The bill provides that judicial officers as the Supreme Court and the Courts of Appeal may retire at the age of 65, but should cease to hold office upon attaining 70 years. The passage of the bill was made possible by endorsements from state houses of assembly.
This is one of the landmark achievements that is going to give good service to our nation. And we still have one other alteration that is important. I believe if they give us a positive response, we'll be able to have the alteration in favor of local government autonomy.
Speakers represented them. We met with them, and they all unanimously agreed to this provision. So delaying their forwarding their resolution is not in line with gentleman agreement as agreed with them.
Among 3 bills that passed second reading during plenary is the 502 billion naira FCT budget bill for 2023. Meanwhile, the House considered and approved reports on 7 bills, including the one seeking the establishment of a council for traditional, complementary and alternative medicine in Nigeria. The House has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate discrepancies in the metering policy of some electricity distribution companies, sequel to a motion from Roland Igbakpa.
Benin Electricity Distribution Company now imposes maximum demand meters and billing system on domestic end users, whereby clusters of communities and individual consumers are billed under a single meter, so that if a singular end user in the loop defaults in payment of their bill, the entire cluster of users are then disconnected.
In another development, House Committee on the Federal Road Safety Corps engage officials on measures relating to risks and safety management on Nigerian roads.
Apart from crashes, there has been increase in criminal activities along our highways in the form of banditry and kidnapping for ransom.
We also embark on aerial surveillance of the highway, but you know, aerial surveillance is quite expensive.
I think the major problem we have now in this country is the issue of our emotional stability. You have an officer running after an offender, chasing him. It's another way of endangering people's life.
The committee said improved safety management will reduce carnage on the highways. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Still staying with the House, the leader of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Ado Doguwa, has joined the League of Elected Lawmakers vying for the speakership position of the House in the 10th Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Gushola reports that the House leader promised his aspiration on robust legislative experience and capacity.
I declare my intention to serve as next Speaker of the House of Representatives in the 10th National Assembly, and I so declare.
That declaration adds to the list of the intending members of the House of Representatives jostling to be Speaker in the 10th Assembly. Alhassan Ado Doguwa says actualizing his aspiration will be subjected to the dictates of his party.
That because of my absolute loyalty to the party, the APC, and my unflinching respect for the party's supremacy, my ambition will be predicated only on the condition that the party zones the speakership position to the Northwest Zone, which is my immediate political constituency.
The leader, House of Representatives, believes that when leadership position beckons, experience and capacity should be considered as key.
I believe that as a seasoned legislator and I am uniquely positioned to unite and stabilize the House, while creating an avenue for all actors to play vital and critical roles to stabilize the polity. I am determined to work according to the principle of checks and balances among all sectors to ensure that the House conducts its business for the people and by the people's representatives.
Representatives of various interest groups attended the declaration. In Abuja, Dayo Gunshola, NTA News.
In the meantime, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, says the party is consulting towards a possible consensus in electing the leadership of the 10th National Assembly come June 2023. This was at the end of the party's National Working Committee meeting in Abuja. Salihu Gwanara reports.
Expectations are high among APC supporters, particularly members-elect of the 10th National Assembly, who are expecting the decision of the party on zoning. From the outcome of the meeting by the National Working Committee, those nursing the ambition of leadership positions still have to wait.
President-elect, the Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, we have to take him along. He traveled after the elections and he came back only last week. And we must carry him along. And we cannot stop those who are ambitious or zonal interests or even individual interests, institutional interests. We cannot deny them. And for as long as that is there, we have to find a way, persuasive manner of getting some level of consensus. And that's what we are working on. It's not a one-day affair.
The party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, said the meeting also took a position on addressing internal wrangling among members of the National Working Committee.
But I'm happy to report that, as the chairman just indicated, the party stands completely united behind the leadership of His Excellency, the national chairman of our party. And we are all standing together. Our colleague who has concerns, those concerns are being looked into.
He reaffirmed members' commitment towards sustaining the ideology of progressive politics and governance. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
In another story, the presidency has reacted to an editorial which it described as misrepresented the impact of the current administration.
On media and publicity says President Muhammadu Buhari inherited an economy in disarray that has since made telling impacts in key areas of the economy, security and infrastructure. The statement adds that terrorists no longer hold any territory in Nigeria and their leaders have been neutralized by the nation's security forces. The economy has witnessed growth. External reserves have maintained a healthy growth throughout these 8 years, stating further that within 2 years of the Buhari administration, exports increased from the 2015 records. Agricultural exports grew by 180.7% by 2017, above the value in 2015. Raw material exports 154.2% in the same period. Solid materials 565%, and exports of manufactured goods 26.8%. The Economic Recovery and Growth Plan of the federal government's medium-term economic plan, launched by President Muhammadu Buhari in April 2017, kept the ship steady and paved the way for his successor, President-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, to take the reins at the end of this month to build upon what he has already achieved. The statement says the editorial, which said President Buhari will not be missed, did not consider, amongst others, the 2 million poor and vulnerable Nigerian households that are currently benefiting from the Conditional Cash Transfer Program, which pays a bi-monthly stipend of 10,000 naira per household. 355,000 vulnerable persons have received special one-off grant of 20,000 naira each in the 36 states and the FCT, not forgetting beneficiaries of Nigeria's micro-pension scheme, which allows self-employed persons working in organizations with less than 3 employees to save for the provision of pensions at retirement or incapacitation. The release posits that the editorial did not have a record of government's survival fund, the National Youth Investment Fund, and National Special Public Works Program, with 774,000 beneficiaries across 774 LGAs, local government areas nationwide, as well as the CBN's COVID-19 300 billion naira credit facility to support millions of small businesses, households, and young people with federal government's loans and stipends. This survival fund has provided grants to more than 1.2 million beneficiaries since the last quarter of 2020. It has also provided free business registrations to 250,000 MSMEs across the country. The president will not be forgotten by owners of the new 40-plus fertilizer companies and thousands of people they employ, producing locally to service the more than 12 million new rice growers, who in turn provide 6 million tons of paddy processed by 100 new rice mills, with Kano alone having 62 and others spreading far and wide to Ebonyi, among other interventions. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that. Now, in the next segment, we will tell you how youth restiveness is being curbed, and our man Benny will be on the beat to help you mind your business. Stay with us. Welcome back. Just after marking International Labour Day to canvass for the welfare of workers, a segment of that group is raising awareness on the importance of press freedom. They are also reminding governments of their duty to respect and uphold freedom of expression. Correspondent Adeola Komiakere takes a look at the importance of press freedom and how well it has impacted the media in Nigeria.
After 30 years, the historic connection established between the rights to seek, impact, and receive information for public good remains as relevant as it was when it was signed. This year's World Press Freedom Day focuses on shaping a future of rights through freedom of expression as a driver for all other human rights.
We have to work with journalists to ensure that Lagosians know what we are doing, to ensure that Lagosians are served what they deserve.
Enshrined under Article 19 of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, free press is expected to give practitioners the upper hand to operate, seek and get information that is relevant to the general public. And although it is often said that there is no completely free press anywhere in the world, the proliferation of independent media in many countries and the rise of digital technologies have enabled free flow of information.
There should be law against those kind of news that could, bring about an unfortunate situation to the life of other people.
Lagos will not attack any press that does that. What they normally do is that they will go on investigative something to ascertain whether that information is correct or not.
Another important topic of discussion that requires attention from stakeholders as it negatively affects respect for other human rights is the brutality of journalists.
Government should ensure it secures justice for the families of those who have been journalists who have been murdered, and even also compensate journalists who in the past were harassed.
To address this critical situation, emphasis is placed on press freedom, safety of journalists, and access to information. Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, celebrates Nigerian journalists on the occasion of the World Press Freedom Day. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoni Lawan, says journalists have made immense contributions to the socio-economic and political development of Nigeria and deserve appreciation. He explained that promoting press freedom also ensures human rights to freedom of speech and opinion, and that is why the 9th National Assembly has ensured in the past 4 years that no legislation under its purview tampers with these rights. The Nigeria Police Force is to commence the process of constructing a befitting accommodation for senior police officers. This was at the foundation laying of estate for senior police officers in Abuja. Francis Form reports.
The creation of the Nigeria Police Force in 1930 by the colonial government also brought with it the creation of police barracks. Since then, police barracks have become a primary requirement for police stations anywhere in the country for swift deployment of officers and men. The sorry state of these barracks informed the current IGP to take steps in their rehabilitation. 25 police barracks have been earmarked for reconstruction and rehabilitation in Lagos State. These buildings, the force PRO Olumoiwa Adejobi reviewed, are due for reconstruction, and this had made the police force to engage affected officers and men of the force in sensitization and relocation process, which will commence from May 1st to 31st.
We want to make sure that all our divisional police stations or divisional headquarters have this modern or model police station, that when you see the prototype, you see the design, you know this is worth living. We want our officers who work day and night to feel honored, to have self-esteem, to have dignity, living in a very beautiful environment.
The reconstruction process is in partnership with Lagos State government.
The integrity of the building is compromised by so many factors which we cannot begin to go into today. So the same thing has happened to some of the structures of the Nigerian police force.
Affected officers, the police also reviewed, will be given financial assistance to aid their relocation, as well as a month's notice to vacate the premises. The project, funded by the police, is expected to be completed in 2 years. In Lagos, Larry Beleyi, NTA News.
Well, we apologize for that mix-up. That was actually Larry's report all the way from Lagos on police on construction of selected barracks. Now let's head to Maiduguri. Are you in the know that Fura and Kunu, some drinks with roots among the Hausa and Fulani ethnic nationalities in northern Nigeria, now enjoying patronage across Nigeria, are made from millet grain? Are you also in the know that there is an agency in Nigeria with the mandate to carry out research on the best variety of millet for both farming and consumption? Well, this report is about 3 new varieties of millet rich in nutritional value recently unveiled by the Lake Chad Research Institute, Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Omar Kirawa takes it up from here.
Fura, dambu or kunu are some of the commonest drinks in northern Nigeria that are consumed usually with milk, yogurt, honey or sugar, depending on the taste of the one consuming any.
What you see here at Bulunkutu Fura de Nono in Maiduguri is certainly a reflection of what you will see in most urban and rural centers across the entire northern part of Nigeria and even beyond, where Fura and Nono are sold by their vendors. Same with Kununzaki, that is also a household name in most families across Nigeria.
Lake Chad Research Institute, an agency of the federal government of Nigeria, established with the mandate for the genetic improvement of millet and other cereals in the country, recently developed and released 3 special varieties of millet to meet local and global demands.
We have 8 millet varieties, and the last 3 varieties which were released in January 2023, the Chakti, which is the one that is fortified with zinc and iron. We have the Bristol composite, which has genetic resistance to the devastating effects of quilla, but the last one is a very high yielding variety termed the LCICMV.
When you are producing to get 10 bags per hectare, using that one, you will be able to get 40 to 50 bags in a hectare.
The newly released seed varieties, Chakti, Bristol Composite and Lake Chad Research Institute variety number 6, with their unique and promising qualities of increase in yield, enhanced nutritional value with iron and zinc, in addition to protection against attack by birds, is already in circulation as some farmers are happy with the development.
The new varieties of the millet seed are the best.
Farmers will just plant their millet. If it's having breeze, will just go and relax without hiring bird scarers or grasshopper scarers. So that means they save money, they save energy. About 90 million people will benefit from it globally.
Less than 3 months, the crop can grow and you have it. So it can conveniently be intercropped.
Today, high-yielding, pest-free and drought-resistant cereals have been unveiled by the Institute to the farming community locally and beyond for enhanced food security. In Maiduguri, Umaru Kirawa, NTA News.
Well, a very interesting one from there. A great relief for people of Borno as peace takes root, but they can't be happier when a key component of the voluntary policing sector and architects in the restoration of peace, the Civilian Joint Task Force, disarm to take up full-time farming. This is real as the United Nations Development Program collaborates with Borno State Agricultural Development Program to train 1,500 CJTF members and hunters who fought alongside security forces for Borno to rise again from the ashes of conflict by relinquishing their arms and taking the whole as the state targets enhancing food security. Murjanata Hassan is our guide on this package.
Disarming and converting 1,500 civilian JTF youth in Borno to boost the farming community is a turning point in the return of peace and the reintegration process, with prospects for enhanced food security. This is a major achievement driven by UNDP and Borno State government.
There is no denying the fact that the voluntary policing sector, consisting mainly of civilian JTF, paid their dues in the counterinsurgency operations that have yielded results. Following the gradual returning of peace in Borno and the closure of all IDPs camp in the state, one of the focus of government is the reintegration process as well as the disarming of the civilian JTF. United Nations Development Program, in collaboration with BOSAP, trained 1,500 civilian JTF and other security volunteers who supported the security forces in the counter-insurgency operations to become farmers. While commending the organizers towards actualizing one of its mandates, representative of Borno State Governor, Head of Service, Malam Panami said, the move will go a long way in making youth volunteers useful members of the society, as well as to become more productive as they become farmers.
Today is the right and the timely time of our young heroes, who are members of the Military Security Office in the state, comprising of civilian task force, hunters, and the vigilante group in Borno State.
Decided to join this program to receive an in-depth training in agriculture as a means for them to be able to start a new life.
Learning by doing will make the trainees imbibe the knowledge easily and appreciate the efforts of our teeming farming families who provide us with variety of food items.
Critical stakeholders who organized the training lauded the foresight and efforts of Governor Babagana Umar Zulum, hence the support in training the civilian JTF and hunters who are disengaged from security operations and now become full-time farmers with packages and money given to them to venture into farming this rainy season. Leaders of the security volunteers and the beneficiaries expressed gratitude to the government, people of the state, and the organizers for all the support and assured to be good ambassadors of the state wherever they found themselves.
We appreciate them and we appreciate the effort of the government. Give them a package to start their business, the fishery, poultry, and others.
The training is expected to be a continuous one. In Maiduguri, Mujanatu Hassan, NTA News.
Federal government's policy of taking 100 million persons out of poverty through entrepreneurship and social investment program is receiving a boost with the establishment of Skills Acquisition Center in Nasarawa State to train youths in different vocations. Abari Solomon reports that the center, inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari barely a year ago, is equipped with modern facilities and professionals impacting requisite knowledge in different fields of human endeavor to promote self-reliance.
Research indicates that entrepreneurship is the driving force for advancement in many economies of the world. This is on the promise that no government in the entire world can provide gainful employment to all its citizens. Consequently, government has made it a deliberate policy to evolve measures in its quest to reduce poverty and create wealth. The Nasarawa State government is keying into this by harnessing human and material resources to build an economically viable state. One of such efforts is the Skills Acquisition Center in Lafia, established and inaugurated by Mr. President to give young men and women a sense of belonging to enable them contribute their quota to nation building.
This institute was established by His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule with a clear mandate to train youth on skills, marketable and employable skills, so that at the end of it all, they will become employers of labor themselves.
Well, after learning, I will apply it to my field. I'll see how we can advance the science of computer, both in the States and also in this country at large.
I'm expected to learn how to sew, how to cut, and also how to maintain my machine to be in good condition so that I'll be able to sew properly.
Clement John, a cobbler who benefited from the center, is now training school children to become self-reliant in the future, while Timothy Habila, a welder who is yet to establish his workshop, said hope is alive, having gained the requisite skills from the center.
And I'm selling not only within the shop, I even export it outside the state. Selling wholesale price, and people are really patronizing me because I give them the best quality.
I'm happy because I've learned the work and today I'm out here doing it.
Key players in development economy express hope that sustainable result-oriented synergy among critical partners will make government's dream of eradicating poverty a reality. Whether this is an assertion or a statement of fact, only time will tell. In Lafia, Abari Solomon, NTA News.
Only time will tell, Solomon. Well, it's time for us to join Benny Adams on Business Desk. Benny, it's over to you.
Thank you, Fatih. Welcome to Business.
Ahead of the expected passage into law of the National Data Protection Bill, the National Commissioner and CEO of Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, Vincent Olatunji, says ensuring safety in the conduct of transactions involving the exchange of personal data to prevent manipulations is an ongoing effort that is yielding results. He was speaking on NTA's Prime Business Program, Business Express.
We are currently investigating about 7 major organizations in Nigeria, 4 banks, 1 telco, 1 gaming company, 1 consultancy firm. And all these loan sharks, we are investigating over 150 of them in Nigeria. And gradually, we are seeing sanity in the sector. We are working with other government organizations like FCCPC, like EFCC, like CBN, like ICPC, and so many other.
And the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, reiterates that the federal government has exempted the digital economy sector from 5% excise duty charges and as such supersedes any other declaration. In a statement, Professor Pantami urges the industry players and other public to disregard a document circulating online allegedly emanating from a government institution stating the contrary. The minister recounts that the Presidential Review Committee on Excise Duty in the digital economy sector had recommended to the President for the industry to be exempted as it is overburdened with 41 taxes. And the President had earlier approved it on March 13th. Moving on. The World Bank has appointed on Wednesday confirmed Ajay Banga as its next president. The bank wrote in a statement published shortly after the board voted to approve his leadership for a 5-year term. He is said to be taking charge at a pivotal time for the development lender as it looks to better address climate change. He will take over the role from David Malpass on June 2nd, 2023. Ajay Banga is the CEO of MasterCard and he is of Indian origin. And taking a look at the markets, Nigeria's equities market decreased further by 0.17% as investors lose 48 billion naira. At the end of today's trading session, a total of 470.08 million shares in 6,254 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.02 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 60% improvement in volume and 6% improvement in turnover. The current market capitalization is 28.4 trillion naira. Transcorp Nigeria recorded the highest volume of 277 million traded shares, followed by Access Holdings 174 million and Fidelity Bank 31.4 million. That is business news. Network news continues after these messages.
Welcome back. A draft policy document on the implementation of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program has been presented by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Ruth Aguela reports that the document is to serve as a guide towards the sustainability of the program.
1 meal a day for primary school pupils who are beneficiaries of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. With more than 9 million children enrolled under the scheme across the country, lives are daily impacted.
This program, particularly the payment system, has ensured that the NSIP emerge as one of the most effective.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development giving an overview of the benefits of the school feeding program, which they say has increased enrollment of school children, provide job opportunities for cooks, engaged local farmers, among other benefits. To sustain these achievements, a draft policy document of the school feeding program is being presented to serve as guide for its sustainability.
It's practical experiences from the field put together so that we can be able to show to the world that we know how to plan and we know how to actually take the projects to the target group very, very efficiently.
And to express the readiness of WFP to always stand with the government of Nigeria in its effort to provide nutritious meals to school children.
The policy document is expected to improve the coordination and institutional structure of the feeding program, financing and other methodologies.
We can say confidently that this document was developed through a significantly participatory process, which we're very, very proud of.
What is left now is the final endorsement of the document, which is expected after due consultations with development partners for effective validation of the policy document. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Our last break beckons. Please stay. President Muhammadu Buhari has offered his condolences to President of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau and Chairman of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, on the death of his elder brother, Inusa Embalo, following an illness. In a telephone call to the Guinean leader, President Buhari extended his condolences to the leader's family, government and the people of Guinea-Bissau, describing the deceased as one of the iconic figures of the West African country. He said the government and people of Nigeria extend their deepest condolences to the government and people of Guinea in this period of mourning. And on that note, we conclude News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Please stay safe. I am Fatima Omar Buba.